You are now listening to another episode of the Chanel and Alan Chit Chat Podcast with your hosts, Chanel Marshall and Alan Byrne.
But it's funny things people are squeamish over. You know, it's funny to think like some people, like the things that people not are afraid of per se, but that make people like uncomfortable or feel sick. Like, I mean, like we just had a 30-minute conversation about poo. There's some people who literally couldn't do that. This is wow,
it's really
wow!
strange.
Aren't we amazing? Look at us, the quality of people on this podcast. Some people really have like phobias or whatever you want to call them around like disgusting stuff. Like some people are the same with sex; they don't like talking about. I'm not, you know, and it's interesting, isn't it? The things that disgust people. I was listening to some podcast about disgust and the evolution of disgust. And how it's a very human thing, like animals don't get disgusted as much. Like stuff that disgusts people is sex stuff, poo stuff, and also guts then as well, like blood. How are you with blood and gore? Would you be up for looking at a fucking disintegrated bodies and all that? I said that like that's a thing people do at the weekends, like it's a normal thing. Come on, Chanel, we're all going to look at these. I'm sure it used to be back when they had those open surgeries, you know, they used to get the public could come in and have a look whilst you were hacking bits off somebody. He's got negative humors. Remove them.
It doesn't bother me so much. Like if I watch like a gory movie, it makes me kind of be like, I might close my eyes and be like, oh, that was not necessary, or that's a bit too much. But I'll still watch it. Like when Saw came out. Yeah. All of them, I watched them. I
love them, man.
And I remember taking my mum to the cinema because my friend who I normally watch them, she couldn't make it. So I was like, oh, Mum, do you want to come? And she was kind of like, okay. And I didn't tell her what it was about. And she hated me afterwards.
Yeah.
She hated me. She literally, the whole time, she was screaming in there, jumping, hiding behind her hands. And she was just like,
"It's great.
I hate you. I can't believe you did this to me. I can't believe you made me do this." It's like, it's not real. It's not real.
Yeah, right.
So like, what's the problem? It's not real, Mum. But yes, with stuff like that. But in real life, I think I'm okay because like I've cut myself where it's gone through to like the white meat before and seeing that. But like, it just, I had where my knuckles came off before.
Your knuckle came off?
Yeah, so like the skin where your knuckle is, like where the ridges are. It cut and it flipped back. Like a big chunk,
like a bit.
So the skin actually, so yeah, basically it's like this slifty bit. This was like cut and flipped back. I think it's like I think it's like at least 2 or 3 of them, and I had to like.
What were you doing? What happened to the other guy?
My sister's. No, I was riding my sister's bike when I was younger, and it didn't have brakes, and I was going down the hill. Did it have brakes? It didn't have brakes. For the brakes, you have to press them like really, like really
those
hard
knackered
to,
brakes that only half work. Like yeah.
Yeah, and literally, I went coming speeding down the hill, and I bounced into the wall. Bam! Flew off into the wall. Yeah, so that's what happened to me.
That is rough, man. Yeah. So you got that knuckle. Do you have any other scars or anything like that? Chanel? I think I only have like one scar.
I have a scar in one of them. I don't know which one it is. Quite smaller now. Yeah, it's in this one, but I've actually just got a little bit of this where the skin kind of lifts up where there is a scar.
Okay.
Where obviously you have to connect back, but other than that, but yeah.
No other scars though. Do you have any? I'm saying, do you have any other like major injury scar things?
Well, the only major scars is from surgery, but other than just
not like injury.
Recklessness. Yeah, no, I don't have any.
No cool scars is what you're saying. You don't really have any cool scars. Because like I've got a hernia, I've got a surgery, but you can't be like, yeah, ladies, I used to have a hernia. What do you think of that? Like surgery scars aren't really, they're not the cool ones. You know what I mean?
But I survived, and I say I survived many times, so I guess I'd say my scars.
Yes, I suppose that's actually very, very true. If it's like life-searching surgery, then it kind of does become cool. If it's just like Botox, I survived. Maybe not so much. Yeah. I have a scar on my arm here. I think that's the only real. I do have a scar on my knuckle as well from where I cracked it off a wall or something. And that was when I was a little kid. There was like, we went out to the back field and there was like a plank of wood on a box, and then the other side of the plank of wood was like, beer kegs, but obviously it had been inside a bin machine or whatever they call it, and it was all metal shards sticking out of it. It was all chewed up, and like we were like walking across this log, and I like fell off and like cut all up my arm. And it was obviously like tiny at the time, but now it's actually like, because I was tiny, but now it's like gotten bigger. But I still remember that traumatized.
Well, at least you did that to yourself. Yeah. But my sister tried to blind me, but other than that, no.
Yeah, well, you were saying she always had it. You guys were always trying to murder each other, or you claimed she was trying to murder you, and you were completely justified self-defense. Always, I believe, is the story, isn't it?
But like, no, this one wasn't her trying to. She was just basically being a dick, right? So we was at my aunt's house, and don't ask me where this piece of wood came from. It was a piece of like a plank, but like small enough that obviously you can hold, right? And one side had a nail in it, and one side didn't.
The classic cartoon weapon, the board with the nail through it. Yeah.
Yes. And she decided that she was gonna. So I think about it now, I think, fucking cow. She decided to swing it. She was on the bed.
Oh my God.
She was on the bed and she's jumping up and down and she's swinging this piece of wood round, swinging it. I walked into the room and all I've got is smack right in the freaking eye.
Oh my God.
And thank the Lord that it was not the side with the nail, because I would have been blind today.
That's crazy.
I would have been blind.
That's crazy. Although, as soon as you said that, I instantly imagined you with an eye patch, and I'm pretty sure you could carry it off. I'm not saying lose an eye over it, but I'm just saying you would look good with an eye patch.
I think she'd be like, "Oh, one in the eye for you." Hey. But yeah, and then her main objective was, "Oh, I hope you're all right, but don't cry, because I don't want mum to come in. I don't want mum and aunt to come in." Yeah, it was like, okay, but yeah, she tried to blind me.
See, if she was smart now, she would just pull the nail out the board and be like, I did hit her, but there was no nail to like try and fuck with the narrative, you see. That's the next level evil sister stuff she should have been working on. That's it. It's funny, it's you those things that happen when you were a kid as well. It's so funny as well when you're a kid, like as an adult, you'd never find like the perfect weapon, but when you're a child, or like a fucking thing to fall off and cut yourself on, children just gravitate towards stuff that can kill them or kill other people, you know what I mean? I think when you're a kid, you just somehow, hey, look what I found. You're like, Jesus Christ! Where did you, you're like, where did you find that? A box cutter. Someone just left it on the bench, That's just, they always find
I found one of them. I don't know, maybe it was a thing. Maybe we just left them for kids to find. I remember finding one of those when I was younger.
But it's
like, I thing to find.
It's just like, but I think as a child as well, you're always looking for stuff. You know what I mean? Like kids are all, like adults. I think adults, and the good part is that like kids are explorers and they're full of wonder and they're working out about the world. Whereas adults are just like, the world, oh, Jesus. Just like what, like there could be box cutters on all sides of us and we'd be like, get me home so I can fucking go to bed. I'm sick of this shit. Whereas kids are like, oh my God, every day's a new adventure. Look at this, a sword. Oh, a needle full of heroin. Oh, a box cutter. Oh, the world. Like they just pick, I think they're always hunting for stuff. They're always trying to like find,
I think, I was thinking of like that we made like, when we was younger, we was freaking so smart. We made cigarettes, right? So out of paper.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Right, cigarettes out of paper and sellotape, coloured the ends and put powder inside.
Ooh, very good.
Right.
What powder?
And I remember, just talcum powder. Just put talcum powder inside. And and we would just be down like, obviously we coloured the end as well, made it like red
orangey,
and that,
yeah.
right. So my aunt, we must obviously like dropped one or something. My aunt was like, she's seen this on the floor, she's thinking it's a cigarette. So now she's like, she smokes, so she's just like, what the?
Yeah.
So now she's pissed, thinking that we've like got into her cigarettes or whatever.
That's great.
And she still hasn't realised. That it's not. And then we must have been like, had them and was like,
yeah.
Blown around, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, what I mean, we was like this close to getting the beatings of our lives. Like, Bitch was like, it's not real. And then when she finally was like, literally, when she finally looked at it, and she was just like, she was angry, but then she was so impressed.
That's
how
the best.
good it looked. Like, she was just like, how did you guys? I think we must have been at like maybe like 7, 8.
Yeah.
At those like ages, and she was like, the anger disappeared because she became so impressed by what we managed to do.
That.
Like,
I love the impressed buffer. Like, there's nothing better. There's nothing better than getting away with shit because it's impressive at how good you did the bad thing. That's the best.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a child, you're just like, as soon as that's for children. The earlier they realize that, the more of a cunt they're going to be. Absolutely. Like, you get a 4-year-old who works out that they can get away with being an asshole as long as they're like funny and clever about it. That's the end. Like, they're just gonna be jump 20 years later and they're fucking doing lines of coke and selling everyone's mortgage-backed securities out, bankrupting the economy, being like, yeah, money. That's it, man. It's a straight line. It's a fucking straight line.
Oh my days. Yeah. So yeah, that was.
We definitely made fake cigarettes too, although I don't think we put the powder in them. Very impressed with that. Very nice. Don't think we put the powder in them. But we used to make the boxes too. We used to make like little, because like we used to like arts and crafts. You know, like you can draw out the, what would you call it? The schematic, like a flattened out box. Like we found an old box and like traced it out and then like made our own ones, you know. Silk Cut, I seem to remember, was the particular brand of choice for our fake cigarettes. I don't know.
Was Benson and Hedges.
Quality. Well done. That's great. The kids, they love it, man. They see parents doing like. It's amazing, really, that people aren't all just the worst, you know. It's because kids, they love doing stuff they're not supposed to do. And they love seeing stuff that their parents say is bad, but their parents do, and being like, I'm fucking doing that. I'm doing that. If it was, because like, it's like that kid logic, which is perfect logic. They're like, they say it's bad, but they're doing it. So it must be fucking great. Like, you know, it's like, they're not fooling me. Like, you know, it's that. And they're right. Of course, they're right. It is great. Funny. Did you, so like in the UK, I know what it's like here, I know you're no Ireland, but the British are right up there in the top 10 binge drinking countries of the world. You know, we'll tip our hat to you. But like, what age do people generally start like drinking here, do you think, or did you or do you think it varies? But varies by region and ethnicity.
I think it does vary. It's both of those. But like I started drinking from, but not like drinking like that, but like my granddad used to let me taste his alcohol when I was younger. Drinking this or whatever. So I think from having
grandparents
that,
are the best, man. They're the best, and their parents will fucking kill you. They just do it because
like my mum used to be fine, because we used to have like when we was younger, then we get like, on like a special occasion, you get like the snowballs and like the baby sham. Yeah. So like we would have those on special occasions, like when we was younger. But I think because that was like, it was never like alcohol was like, oh no, you can't have it. No, you can't have it. It never was a thing of where I was oh, I've got to have it. But then I did used to drink with my friends and stuff. I remember like 2020. Thunderbirds. I think we even once went for Special K, only because it looked kind of sexy because it was red and black.
Are these all alcohol pops? Because I don't recognize any of these.
Like 2020 is like a little, it's like a flask bottle, and it's in different colours. So you have like You'd have the red, the blue, the yellow, the green.
Yeah.
And then you had Thunderbird, which was, I don't know what Thunderbird was. Like, for me, I feel like it's kind of like a wine kind of based kind of thing. I think I'm not 100% sure what Thunderbird was.
Yeah.
And then Special K was a beer, but it was the only beer that didn't
do you know that Special K also means ketamine? Because you were just like, yeah, we had like a Smirnoff Ice, a bit of ketamine, and I was like, whoa, shit. I was like, oh, okay.
No way. So like, yeah, when we like go to our parties and stuff, we used to buy that. I used to feel like we was really, really grown up. The fact that the shopkeeper sold it to us, to this day, I'm just like, wow, okay. Because most of it was like 16. And then then I think just as life went on, I was a social drinker. And then I kind of got to the point of like doing the whole wine thing, and but never was like one of those people that
sophisticated.
Oh, that's a lie. Like, yeah, I did the wine, but now I'm on the water now. I don't drink anymore.
Okay.
So yeah, well, we'll see how long that lasts.
Sure,
but
sure.
yeah, I never was like one of those people that was drinking the White Lightning.
Yeah.
Ciders and like all that, or didn't do that. That was we was more like upper class drinkers because we never did the cider. I started drinking cider in later on in life when they started doing like, is it the Blummers and all that kind of the fruity ciders.
The same. I don't actually like apple cider, but I used to really like the fruit ciders and the some other one as well, berry one. I like them when they came out. But Copperberg, that's what it was called in Ireland. Yeah, I mean, I think in Ireland it was the same kind of thing, but it was more like, like there was Smirnoff Ices and other fucking brands like that. There were like Alco Pops that were really big.
Oh, yeah, we did. And what are they called? Bacardi Breezers.
Yes. Yeah. That was the thing as well. And then you can get what do you call them the same in the UK? Like bottle sizes. In Ireland, there's a naggin, a half, or a super naggin. It's the same thing. And then there's like a flagon. Right, it sounds like a limerick, doesn't it? Like a naggin is like, I don't know what you call it. Do you call it a shoulder? Maybe here, it's like a square bottle, be it whiskey or like a spirit, right? Small square bottle with a top. Do you have any names for these things?
So we'd call it like a flask, kind of.
Like a flask,
But it's kind of like the shape of like a hip flask.
Yeah.
That kind of, yes. That's what the 2020 would come in, would be like the shape of a.
Right.
So we'd call it like a flask bottle. So flask bottle, but. We never actually gave them real names. It was just literally like we went by the names of whatever it was, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's like literally
in
Ireland. That's just a unit of measurement almost. You know what I mean? It's like it's not even to do with the bottle shape as much as it is to do with how much is in it. I don't know. Anyway, I mean it's like the Eskimos have got 100 words for snow. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of the same, similar dynamic. Sorry, Inuits. I should say Inuits. Not everyone prefers the Eskimo nomenclature. I found that out. That's because I used to live in the Inuit community. So in Canada, and I think other parts of northern Europe, the Arctic Circle, they don't like the term Eskimo because it comes from the word raw meat eater, some Norwegian word. Because they were Norwegian explorers, I think Norwegian, I'm not sure, were the first to make contact with them at some point in history, I don't know. And they were like, so it's sort of a bit like, depending on how you interpret it, it could be a bit like savage, the word. But then if you go to Alaska, the Inuits there are like, Eskimo, we're all Eskimos, fuck yeah. Like they don't mind being called it or other people calling them it. So it's just kind of, it's just, anyway, that's your bit of Inuit, innuendo for the day, Inuit information.
Learn something new every day.
But that's it. I'm trying to think. So but I mean, what you talked about is really is great as well, because it's like that is 100% true. If you have, generally speaking, a more like alcohol is not a big deal. You can't, there's no like if you don't prohibit your kids from drinking at all. Then if you have a more normal attitude towards it, they're more likely to also have less of a binge drinking, more normal attitude towards it. Unless the caveat being, unless you also yourselves are binge drinkers and you're just like, yeah, it's fine, and that's what I think happens a lot in Ireland. People are lenient about alcohol consumption, but then also they're like fucking necking back 8 pints and phoning down the stairs every weekend. Not everyone. Not everyone, of course.
Yeah, and I think also it's like, but when you say with the whole, let's go back to obviously what you teach your kids and stuff like that. Now, I always thought that like anything other than weed, if you take anything other than weed, drug-wise, you're gonna die.
Okay, it was your your feeling,
yeah. And
except for ketamine, which you used to do every weekend with a bottle of Bacardi Breezer when you were 12.
No, I have to find that Special K. It was like it was, I think they still sell it actually, but yeah, like I remember we went to we had a Christmas party, or we'd gone on a work day or something anyway, and we went back to one of the girls' house that we worked with, and all of a sudden, like me and my other friend, we was there, and all of a sudden, like on the cooker, you know, you get the glass top on the cooker, and then they started like, they were chopping up, cutting lions, right? Now, me and my friend, we were the only black ones, right? And everyone else is white, and it's like, okay, so this is new to us, because like, I think cocaine itself is, I think it's more of a white drug.
Okay.
A more white upper class drug. Like, okay, I don't know about now, but that's
sophisticated. Pinkies up.
Right. So that's more of like a white drug, right? So
interesting.
We was like, so then after that, they're chopping up on the cooker, and I'm like looking at my friend, and she's looking at it. It's like, okay, be cool.
Yeah.
And then after they was like, then they started doing it, and it's like, okay. Then like, oh, do you want some? I said, no, I'm all right, thank you. No, thank you.
Fine. Oh,
yeah, it's fine. No, thanks.
Thanks.
It's not my juice. It's not my juice. No, thanks. I'm okay. And then I asked my friend, and she was like, no, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's the thing too, when you're trying to suss out your friend, you're just like, because like I love when you get in them situations, because like you're just like, how do I react? Act natural. And what's the first thing you do when your brain says act natural? You immediately start acting completely unnatural, you know? And then you're looking at your friend too, because like part of you's like, oh my God, are they just gonna be like, yeah, let me fucking, and then you're just like, then you're like, you know, you're like, oh, it's just.
So you don't want to seem like you're all being extra judgy, you know?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like,
sure.
Oh, okay. And then she was like, oh, so then after we've been there, it's time to leave now, and then I was like, oh, we'll get a cab together.
Yeah.
Got in the cab, right? And I was like, what did you think about that whole, you know, that was a new experience for me. Well, how for you? And she was like, yeah, that's new for me too.
Yeah.
And I was like, I said no because I knew, I was gonna die. I was like,
that was your reason
black
for saying
person,
no.
that I would take that drug and I'm gonna die from it, right? I don't care, I'm gonna die from it. She's like, I thought that too. That's why I said funny. No. I was like, so no, I'm gonna die from that. And I literally was just like, no. My mom's always just been like, you know, all these other drugs, they're hard drugs. You just 100% no. But I ultimately thought like, yeah, I'm gonna die. I don't want to.
That's
no.
interesting.
So me,
yeah.
I'm happy to just say no.
Yeah, but just interesting thinking about that in terms of parenting and stuff like that. But it's just I'm also not trying to like blow up anybody's spot, so to speak. But if your parents do they have a more lax attitude towards like weed, and do you think that makes a difference, or hypothetically? Your hypothetical parents?
Yeah, and I think because for me, I've grown up around it, and it's never been, I've never seen anyone die from weed. I've never seen anybody like...
I think almost no one in the history of the world has actually, literally, statistically speaking. I think it's...
And I think because I grew up knowing that the healing properties of it, and knowing that it's what it can do for you and all that kind of stuff. So for me, even though they put it on the label of drugs, I don't see it. I personally don't see it as a drug unless you're adding other stuff to it. Then obviously,
but I mean, sure, that's
natural form.
Fuck me, that's true of orange juice as well. You know what I mean? You stick enough other shit in it, it's probably not going to have quite the same effect. But obviously, I wonder. That's interesting. I wonder, do you think if your mom or dad had been very anti-weed as well as being anti-other drugs, do you think you would have been more likely to be like, nah, fuck it, I'll just try one of these things or the other one of these things? I'm just thinking about in terms of like how parents position stuff in terms of saying no to, house, in terms of like, if you don't want your kids to get involved in one thing, is it better to have them engage in like less harmful stuff? Because I'm like, if you put a prohibition, I just know from experience, if you put a prohibition on everything, then your kids are going to want to do everything. And I think
for me, because I'd had like, drink wasn't a no-go for me, and it was like introduced into my life. And I think because no one in my life had taken those kind of drugs.
Sure.
So I didn't know anyone that did those drugs. Yeah. So for me, that was like a no-go. And then when you would see if anyone took any sort of drugs on TV, they died.
Yeah, it's not normally followed by like then the fun water park sequence. Oh, outside of like weed movies, normally with other drugs. With the exception, there's one film that sticks out in my mind. It's not a very good film. I saw Bad Grandpa, and there's a scene in it's where Robert De Niro is old and he's trying to have sex with teenagers. I don't know, whatever it is. That's probably, I probably didn't do the best blurb for it. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to get his youth back, so to speak. But anyway, what's his name? Oh, I don't know. Handsome white man actor. I can't think of his name. But he, young as well. Young. He's not Brad Pitt. He's like 20 something. Zac Efron. That's it. Good abs. But he does like crack in that, and he does crack, and then there's a scene where he's just having the best time ever, and I was like, oh my god, I've not seen that in a film before. That stands out as an unusual representation of potentially problematic demonstration of crack. I mean, he does wake up face down on a beach and nearly ruin his wedding, but I don't think that fully encaptures the potentially life-destroying properties of crack. Anyway, quick. So it's a 2-star review from Alan. Like the abs, didn't like the flavored juice of crack cocaine. But yeah, I mean, it's funny because I don't know how I feel about drugs, because like I've never really, booze was always my thing for the longest time. Have smoked weed, do now like doing edibles, but really even when I was in my 20s, didn't smoke a lot. Not because, again, not same with drugs, not really because I was like, oh, they're going to kill me, or like some moral dimension, like that's wrong. I don't know, for whatever reason, never really was around that scene. And like now I'm kind of, now I don't know how I feel about that stuff, because I'm sort of, I don't want to be closed-minded. I mean, people sometimes talk about, MDMA and these different drugs as being, again, in a similar way, or what's the word? Peyote, is that the thing? People talk about it in terms of being really, if you do it in a structured environment, you know what I mean? Like people, people have it as part of their religious ceremonies in some cases. Like it can be good for self-understanding and things like this. Not sure crack is quite in that category, but maybe, who knows?
I think anything that's
so I don't know.
Addictive, then I would say let's not do that. But for me, I don't.
But like donuts are addictive. But donuts don't make you murder your wife. I know what you're saying. Well, that said, have you had a Dunkin' Donuts recently?
No. No, I haven't. Oh, this is the
bitch, don't get in my way. I need to get Special K. Very good.
It's actually a cider. I thought it was a beer, but it's actually a cider. So I was on a cider.
Apparently, the taste is so refined you couldn't even tell whether it's fucking beer or cider.
I only got it because it was like, let's get this because it's
80 pence a can.
It's black. Like, okay, but I think the harder kind of, like, for me, drug wise, like I've done, like I said, edibles before, like, and the feeling for that, how it made me feel.
Oh.
It was fun. It was weird. It was funny. It's a good memory to be like, oh my God, yeah, that was so much fun. But I don't feel like I would want to be so out of it that I don't have self-control.
Oh, sure.
Like,
yeah,
even,
sure.
yeah, so even like with the edibles, like for me, I think I told you the story about when I went to Amsterdam. I did the story of Amsterdam, no?
I don't think so. Yeah, continue. I don't believe so, but yeah.
So, yes, like I just feel like it was weird. Like, right, okay. So went to Amsterdam, starving, went there, yeah, like, do the wavy lines. And then we had something to eat, but it was like, it wasn't enough food. I don't know why, but it wasn't enough food anyway.
Yeah.
So we got to this cafe now, and originally, if you give us some backstory, I was late to the airport.
Now I got to do a flashback in the flashback. You're really the timeline.
Right.
Like a fucking
So
Quentin Tarantino movie trying to get a weed story out of this woman.
So yeah, so everyone was meant to buy a drink because he was renting an apartment place.
Right.
So everyone was meant to be buying alcohol. So I missed that part of buying alcohol and us having it at the place.
Is this like a weekend away? Like, what age are you? What is the context?
This is a bank holiday. I was in my days. I know that much.
Very good. Yeah. So like, yeah, like a weekend trip thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I missed that. So I missed that whole buy and drink stuff. So I was like, okay, so when we get to the cafe, I'll buy everyone brownies. So that'd be like my contribution.
Very nice. Yeah.
So bought the brownies and obviously like still hungry. Okay, cool. So I was like, oh, I'm going to eat my brownie. Right. So eating it. And then I'm just like, I can't taste nothing in this. And the brownie was like, it was like this long and it was like that thick.
Yeah,
right?
They almost look like what do you call them? Coffee cake or shortcake or something.
It was big and I was just like, I've never had a brownie that big. Okay. So I'm eating it and I'm just like, oh, it's just like chocolate. So I've eaten the whole thing, right? Boxed it off. I'm like, okay, cool. So then we've gone now, two of the other girls, they smoked. And then I think it was me and I think I was the only one that actually ate all my brownie.
Right.
So anyway, so we're walking down, the girls are like, oh, they're hungry, they want to stop and get some Chinese or whatever it was. So they stopped off and we're standing outside and two of my other friends, they're standing there and we're just waiting. And I was standing with my arms crossed and I'm just like waiting, just standing. All of a sudden I was like, and then they've looked at me and then they're like, you're right.
You're right.
and I'm like, I don't think so.
I love it.
No. Now we've just started cracking up. And I was like, I don't know, I felt like I was falling. Right, I was standing still.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're walking, like they've got their food now and we're walking. And every time I'm walking, it's like my foot hits the pavement, but I don't feel it until like a 10 seconds, like there's a 10-second delay to what I'm feeling.
That's great.
So I'm now walking like, do you remember like the ad that Mr. Soft, for soft mints?
He was so like freaky, but he had that like wobbly walk. Yeah. Mr. Soft.
That's how I felt like I was walking, right? Because every time I put my foot down, I wasn't getting that. So I'm like, trying to step harder.
Yeah.
Right. So first I'm walking by myself. And then I'm like, I can't do this anymore. So I grabbed hold of my friend. I was like, I need to hold on to you because I'm struggling walking.
Walking's not something I can do anymore.
Right. So then like the paranoias like kicked in. Yeah. And at one point there's like the canal on this side and the road on this side. Mm-hmm. And the canal's got no barrier. Okay, so it's just like literally wall and water.
Yeah. It's yeah.
Right. And then this side the road's got no barrier. It's just zooming cars, right?
So you were just feeling like
I was like overexposed, like I feel like I'm in the Chinese toilet, right? So I was like overexposed, right?
Great. So
then she's kind of like, she doesn't know what side to have me on because like water this side,
there's danger everywhere.
Right. So anyway, so we get there, and it's like the steepest stairs ever to get down to this place. And we get down to get our room keys and stuff. So we get down
it's
there,
back in the hotel or whatever. Yeah.
Right. So we've got our keys and stuff. And there's like the winding. I feel like everything was like, it was against me, right? Against me anyway. So what I mean, like, zoned out, and like your body feels so heavy, and I was so tired. And finally we slept. We slept. It felt like hours, but I think it was only like minutes.
Yeah.
So we went out to eat, and I remember this time I was eating meat, and I said, "Oh, I had steak and chips, right?" And I ate it.
Right.
I ate it all, and I was like, "Yeah." Then I was like, "I'm still hungry."
Right.
I'm still hungry.
Yeah.
And I looked at my friend, and I was like, "Are you still hungry?" She was like. So then I ended up having a whole plate of ribs and chips. Like, I've never been in a restaurant. I had 2 main meals in my life, and then had dessert. I was like, what the hell is going on with me?
Amsterdam, people think they're making the money off the weed. They're making the money off the overpriced dinners because they know you're going to get like 2 or 3 or fucking 4 on top. That's how they make the money.
Literally, and I was just like, that feeling, it was funny, but that feeling I can cope with. I can cope with that. And like, I had edibles again another time, and I ended up having like, I remember I was eating a chicken wing, right? This is what happened. I made them, and I was like, okay, yeah, made them. Right, cool. And then I remember it was my friend's cousin's Halloween party, and he was like, oh, he wants to stop off at the supermarket and get some more bits. So sit in the car, and I'm like, oh, I'm hungry. This is the fucking shit. I'm always fucking hungry, man. So
I'm the same, man. If I do it, I get munchies like fucking
No, but
crazy.
I hadn't even eaten them yet. Right? So I was like, all right, this is going to be the party. So I made half of me and half of my friend. So I'm sitting in the car now. I'm eating them because I'm hungry. I'm eating them, like, boxed of all of mine. And then in the car, fine, not a problem. Get to the house now. I'm like, oh, yeah. Normally I'm the life and soul of the party, right? That's my role.
Yeah.
It could have been maybe an hour in, and all of a sudden I'm fucked, right? I'm eating a chicken wing, right? I'm eating a chicken wing, and I can't see, once again, the delay kicked in. So I put the chicken wing in my mouth, but I can't feel it. Until at least 5-10 seconds later.
Right.
That was a weird chewing experience.
That is odd.
Then, like, literally, and then I went to the toilet, and I was in the toilet, in my mind, I was in the toilet for maybe 5 minutes, if that.
Yeah.
When I opened the door, there was a queue, and I'd obviously been in the toilet for about half an hour.
Yeah, that's great.
Slept on the sofa with the cat. I don't like cats. And I was just like, I was so wrecked, and by then it must have been about 11 o'clock, and I was like, I need to go home. I need to go home. I can't do this. I gotta go. I can't do this again. So if that's what weed edibles can do.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't want to go to the next level. I would have to be in a real safe environment to be like, okay. Personally, I'm like, I can cope with that because I still know what I'm doing.
Oh yeah.
But I don't want it to be where I don't have a clue what's going on and I'm out of it. And
sure. Yeah, I think I definitely get that. I really like doing edibles, but I know what you mean. You're still, even when you're really out of it, if you do loads of them, you're still in the moment to moment, you're still in control, even though space and time sort of collapses a little bit. There was, I think I told you before when I did the classic like fucking weed movie thing where I was in San Francisco with my friend Jane. It's legal there. We got weed. I don't smoke weed. That's the thing. When I smoke weed, I feel terrible. I get dizzy. I feel sick. When I eat it, I like it. I like the good. Got a drinkable weed, because that's one of the things they do there in their weed innovation. And on the top, on the cap, it said 1 dose. And I was like, I'll be sensible. I'll just drink half the bottle. That'll be half a dose. I'm a sensible, mature human man. And then we were going to the zoo. Get to the zoo, everything's fine. And Jane's like, you feeling good? I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling good, because she had eaten one of these other edible things as well. And I think, And yeah, and then we get into the bug house and space and time just goes, Wah! And there's bugs everywhere, like fucking praying mantises and shit. And I am like, oh my God, Jane, I'm in hell. What is happening? And then of course, look at the bottle and 1 dose. It does say 1 dose on the cap, but it means 1 capful is 1 dose. So I had drunk the equivalent of about 4 weed brownies in 1 shot. Like basically at the time it took us to get like an Uber from there to the zoo, which was like 10 minutes. I'd basically eaten like 4 brownies. And yeah, man, it was fun. Just like what was crazy about it was you talking about time, like we'd be at the giraffe houses talking about something, and then boom, we were at the rhino houses. No in between. No walking. Fuck walking, man. Walking was for people who weren't in outer space like me. Just boom, we'd be at the monkey house talking about a different topic. And the thing, I also, right, like my vision, it's like in a movie, like my vision was like here, there was like all this blackness. I was like watching myself like through tunnel vision. I was hearing myself and apparently Jane was like, yeah, you're really coherent when you're high, but except at some points I would just stop and just, but I was hearing myself talking, hearing myself having conversations. Yeah, it's really interesting you think about this. And I was like, who is that out there? Who is talking? And I'd be like back behind my eyes watching me talk, and then boom, we're at the gorilla enclosure, and it just, dude, it was fucking crazy. I had more edible stuff on me. I got food. I got back to the hotel where I was staying, and I woke up the next day. I was still out of my tree the next day. I went and got lunch in a cafe, and I was like, the next day at 1 o'clock, I was like, this is as high as I wanted to get. Like now, this like more than 24 hours later level of high. It was good. But I did. But at the same time, I never really felt like out of control. Yeah. Even with all of that, that was still. And there is a thing about like, I think that edibles do that, and I've heard what I've also heard about other substances like MDMA and things like that is that they do make you super like vulnerable in the sense that I think you. Like there's funny, hilarious side effects to them as well. But from what I hear as well, is they do kind of put you in contact with other parts of your brain and other parts of yourself, right? And it's like self-knowledge can be really upsetting or scary or whatever the fuck it is. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so because there's like, so that's the thing about them. Not so much being out of control, although I certainly would not be, I don't like that. And that's one of the reasons I stopped drinking as well, because like when I get like blackout drunk, I'm like a different person. I'm like one of those people who turns into like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, you know. I'm like, I don't even know who that is, you know. It's the serial killer, you know. But it's more like with me when I'm thinking about it, I think I might want to do some of those drugs at some point, but you kind of got to be ready. You know what I mean? You got to be in like a safe space, and not just physically safe. You also have to be like centered in yourself. Like if you're worried about the fight you just had with your fucking mom, that's not a good time to do that shit. You know what I mean? Like you've got to be kind of ready for something. But yeah, it's funny. I mean, now I know people who do like drugs on the regular, and it's interesting. Like they don't die, and they do seem to be more or less okay. So I'm kind of like, I don't know how to feel about that. You know, cocaine though. Can you imagine me doing cocaine? Yeah, that's like my TripAdvisor review. 4 stars, didn't die, not bad. I'm like, dude, cocaine's the last drug I need to do. You know, stuff that makes me slow down.
But then, I would be on board with it. Like, the fact of it, like, up your nose, I'm thinking, taking something up your nose, that for me freaks me out anyway, because I'm just like, so it's bad enough when...
It's 4:20.
You know, you burp it.
The time, it's 4:20 now. Just bringing it up. Just saying. Coincidence? I think not. It's the pink lady conspiracy. They control time now as well.
They're going to be weed apples. But like it just, that feeling of, you know, like when you go outside and it's like really cold and you get that sting in your nose.
You get that, yeah.
I'm just thinking like, I don't even know what that feels like, and I don't want to know it. Just, to me, I just feel like.
Do you ever take one of them nasal sprays to unblock your nose if you had a blocked nose? Do you ever take?
No, I've only ever done like the little stick thing, you know, the little Vic stick, and it looks like a little, like, and you just
looks like a tiny little
stick
dick
on that, yeah.
Yeah, you just,
yeah.
Little tiny dick up your nose.
It's like a nose tampon, isn't it? Like.
Yeah, it is. It is like a nose. I take the atropine spray one if I have a blocked nose, because I told you that I think I broke my nose a couple of months ago, didn't notice. Anyway, I ran into a wall because I'm a genius. Literally, I did run into a wall, which means people think, "Oh my God, is your girlfriend beating you up?" I'm like, no, I did just run into a wall because I work in a dark, spooky place with all the lights off. So I was just like, oh yeah,
I remember. Oh, you had the cut, didn't you? You had the cut on your nose. I was thinking, how the hell did you do that? But yeah, forget that you work in the dark.
I work in the dark, which is so funny because then I was like, this way. I had to keep going with the show, blood coming out of my face, this way, and they were like, God, this is graphic, isn't it? They got a realistically horrible show there. But I just, so I take that sometimes to unblock my nose. So I'd imagine it might be something like that. The little Vicks or whatever it is, the little tampon, it's so funny, man. It's, you know, there's some things you do in life that you're just like, God, I feel like a tit doing this. You know what I mean? Whenever I have to put one of them up my nose, I'm always like, God, if someone could see me. Do you ever have to do it in a public place? You're just, that's just like,
you always do that. You do this, innit?
Yeah. Which looks way worse because it looks like, what are they doing over there? Fucking, what did you fucking mind your business? Whereas like, like you just with your little tampon up your nose. You know when you get like a bloody nose when you were a kid and you'd see kids with like bits of tissue jammed up their noses because they'd look just so humiliating. Yeah. Something just so sort of undignified, I think is the word about that. I don't know why though. But why? Who cares if you got something up your nose? But it just looks ridiculous.
But I think it comes down to the fact of like how much we care about what other people think.
Of course, yeah.
And it's weird how much we care. Like like when you sometimes when you break things down and you're like, why do I care? Like 100%. Me caring about what they think, like it's only taking away from my life. It's not adding.
There's very little positive side to what I think you're talking about here. Yeah.
And I was just thinking to myself, like, we really do get consumed by, okay, what's the public perception? Like, all right, if you're going to wear something, you're like, what's it going to look like? What people are going to think? And do I make an effort? And now I just got to the point I was like, I don't care.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, I think that's a big part of becoming, I want to say growing up or becoming an adult, but maybe all those words are the wrong way of saying it. Just like becoming more mature or something, or more yourself, is just learning not to fucking care what other people think. Now, obviously, you can imagine a version of that where you take it to the extreme and you're just punching grannies. I don't know. But like, I'm not saying that from a moral point of view or something like that. But it is, you have to sort of prove almost to yourself that you don't care what people think. Because who cares? Strangers, especially strangers. You know what I mean? You're walking, like we said with the GPS, pretending you're not lost. What? Who cares? Who cares? It shouldn't matter, but it does matter.
Like, I think to myself, like,
tampon up my nose, looking at my GPS like that, stumbling.
And seeing something like a wedgie, like if you like your underwear, like happens to just, you know, your butt decides to get hungry and eat your underwear, and then you're kind of thinking, I don't want to see me like dig it out.
Yeah.
It's fucking up there. Like, why do I care that someone might see me take my underwear out my arse? It happens to the best of us. Like,
what I get, my underpants, I don't know why this is. It's the way I walk. Could be my huge dick. Who knows what it is? But like, it just, it doesn't ride up on my ass crack. It rides up on like one leg, right? So I wear boxer shorts, right? So I'll end up with a normal boxer leg here and the other one cut up into me like I'm wearing tidy whities on this side, right? And then, like, that's intolerable. That's fucking Chinese water torture. That is intolerable. So what you have to do, there's no way of you do one of them fake trying to, you know, when you're trying to fix it but you're pretending you're not. Hey, how are you doing? How are you? How are you? You know, you're trying not. Whereas the only way to fix it, you just gotta put your hand down and and then you're like, that's it, sorted out now. But like, it's very hard to have the confidence in oneself to stick your hand down your pants and go, yeah.
And then you'd feel like you'd have to like kind of like announce and be like, oh, my boxer's there because they've written up like, oh.
Now, I will say as a caveat to this, the self-actualization program I'm talking about here, don't do it near a school. Self-actualize away from the school if you're going to stick your hand down your pants. Just the one caveat to this, I would say. But it's funny, you care, people. It's just, but it's so fun. I was thinking about shame and all that, you know, and the fear of being judged by people, and you have it on the street from strangers. Of course, you have it from people who you know as well, and probably in a more intense, or not intense way, but personal relationship ways, because obviously they know you better. It's easier to make a tit of yourself. But also because they know you better, they also know not to judge you if you say something or do something that's out of character. Whereas with me, if I turn up in a suit looking nice, they'll be like, yeah, but that's not the real you. Get fucked. Yeah. You fucking gotta stick your hand down your pants and in your Penny's t-shirt. But it's so funny. But like, obviously, it's something evolutionary, isn't it? Like, it's built into us to be ashamed of things, so that we, whatever it is in evolutionary history, that stops us from murdering each other or the tribe disintegrating or something. Like, there must be, it's like everything, well, no, it's not true, not everything in evolution, but lots of these social responses, they have an origin in some kind of function that was good for our survival. Not always, sometimes some of them are like an appendix, you know what I mean, where you're just like, this was probably useful back in the day, but not anymore. I
don't know, because I'm just thinking to myself, like, this whole,
I just imagined a bunch of cavemen, and like they all see me like pulling down my loincloths, and then they beat me to death. That's what I imagined in my head. No. They just fucking clock me. They're just like, he's destroying the harmony of the village. Ugh.
I don't see any like
advantage,
good thing about it. Like, because like there's a difference between knowing right and wrong and being a judges, and like you just want to judge everybody and just be like, shouldn't do that, shouldn't do like and then the people on the other hand are like, I don't want people to think this of me. I don't feel fuck them.
Fuck them is right.
Like, literally, it's like, it's weird, like how it can actually sometimes debilitate people.
Oh, very much so. Very much so.
Just be like, they don't even get to the point, they don't even know how to be them true selves because they're worried about what other people will think or say. And it's just like,
definitely, that happens all the time. Yeah.
Wow, it's just it's crazy. But I realized that, like, I have had that kind of that feeling before. I've just been like, I don't know what they're going to say, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
And I was watching something, I think it was yesterday, and it was talking about like self-love and stuff, and basically saying like what self-love actually is, and what a lot of people think that self-love is like, you know, liking myself in a dress state, or like, you know,
some very
just had a haircut, or I take pictures of myself and I put underneath it self-love.
So, sort of like the very superficial version of feeling yourself kind of thing, like the really shallow version of it.
Right. And it was like, that's not what self-love is. Self-love is loving yourself in your natural form state. Like, you wake up in the morning with shit in your eyes and you look in the mirror and you're just like, I still got this. Like, I love some me. Like, I was like, it's so true, because people actually feel like, like, loving myself is okay. I having the perfect body, or like, I'll truly love myself when I have the perfect body, or when I have this partner, or when I have this. Like, no, like, it starts with self, and you need to like literally love every part of you before anyone else possibly can. But like, that's what self-love is. But if you stick with the whole judgments and oh my god, and you can't truly love yourself, because you're stuck thinking about what other people think. So I don't look cute in the morning, I don't look cute without makeup, I don't know. You don't love yourself, do you?
100%. I mean, I think, and in terms of I just know that I wasted a lot of, again, classic thing when you're a teenager, but a lot of time in my teenage years and my 20s as well, just being not debilitated, but very much limited by my, fear of what other people would think about me. And really, and again, this is not, I'm not even talking about, and then I realized I was gay, or then I came out of this big, huge thing. No, I am just a very basic, boring straight man. I'm sorry. Like sadly, I had no real revelation. But I'm saying it doesn't need to be, the point though, it doesn't need to be a big thing. People really limit their self-expression just because they're always thinking, no matter who you are, you're always thinking about, what other people think. And it's,
what does that person think?
So, sorry, I was just getting myself a cup of coffee and lion's mane mushroom powder.
What's that one I saw?
It's something that's meant to be good for your brain. That's some fucking stupid guru or something talked about in their podcast and was like, I'll try that out. And let me tell you, Chanel, the results have been phenomenal. I've never had coffee that's tasted more like mushrooms. That's the only fucking thing it does. Disgusting. No, it's all right, but they like talk. It's neurotropic, Chanel. They're gonna enhance your mind through the power. Unlock the power of the mushroom. Unlock the power of my fucking bank account. Fucking asshole buying into this bullshit. But anyway, what I was gonna say is, I think we're not going to get sponsored by fucking Lion's Mane coffee anyway, that's for sure. Cut that out now. Get Pink Lady and Lion's Mane. See, a big combination there now. Mushrooms and apple, nothing goes better. But that thing with being worried about what the other people think. I think, of course, when you're a teenager, you're trying to find your identity and blah, blah, blah. So that's a bit more full on with that. Because you're worried what people think, because you're also trying to work out what you think, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that continues throughout life, but it's more pronounced because it's the first time you're really thinking about it normally when you're a teenager. Because when you're 8, you're just trying to find another fucking box cutter to come at your sister with. You don't even think about, who am I really inside though? You don't have those deeper thoughts. And your poor sister now, like in my mind, she's just this fucking knife-wielding maniac little kid, just always coming at you with a new weapon every week, But like when you're in a smaller social environment as well, I think that's the other thing about schools, is the school is like, it's a smaller group of people. You don't have as much anonymity. I almost said it wrong. Anonymity. You're not as anonymous, I guess. Anonymity. The anonymity.
Anonymity.
I'm almost certain that's not how it's pronounced. But also, I can't say it properly, so I don't.
Anonymity. You're gonna make me. Oh, it's because you said it wrong.
I say anonymity. What do I fucking say? Anonymity. No, fuck. It's one. It's like one of them things where you just say it fast and then you don't have to stop and think about it. As soon as you stop and try and say it, it's like anonymity. Anonymity. That's what I say. I say anonymity. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying that's what I say. Anonymity. Sound like I'm having a stroke. Right. Anyway, right. Regardless of how anonymity is pronounced. When you're in a smaller social group, like you're in high school or school or whatever people call it in different places, like there's more pressure as well, I think, because it's like there's less people you can get your evaluation or your, positive reinforcement from. And then I think that is one element of it. But also what I would say is, I think, coming from rural Ireland, I like small towns are way more like that as well, are way more judgmental, because again, it's a smaller population size, it's a smaller community, everybody's all up in everybody's business. So I think there's more, you feel more self-conscious, could be wrong, because you tell me as well now, because you grew it up in a big city, but I feel like there's more pressure. Whereas like when I moved out of that sort of more rural environment, and even Ireland is very small as a place as well. Like when I moved to international bigger cities, I was like, this is great, man. Nobody knows who the fuck I am. I can cause chaos. I just totally learned the wrong lesson straight away, just straight off the bat. But yeah, do you think that population size has something to do with it? I feel like it definitely does, but that could just be my experience.
100%, because like you said, because everyone, you've always got that gossip that talks more than one.
Did you hear
that talks about everybody and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Man,
so I think
I'll tell you,
it does make a difference. And then it's like, it made me feel like, or should I say feel, made me think about why are bodily functions made to be so taboo?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you're made to feel embarrassed. Obviously, when we talked about butt sweat or butt steam, should I say?
One of our
like
classics.
You're made to feel
best of.
You're made to feel like it's if you pass gas or like you fart, whatever. Like, you're made to feel, I can't believe you did that. Like, it's so like, it's a bodily function. And sometimes you just can't hold it in. And it's not healthy to hold it in.
No, it's not.
And it's just like,
let it loose.
I think if you have the option so you can actually get up and remove yourself, because obviously it is an odor that everyone shouldn't have to share with you.
Yeah, I think that's reasonably socially conscious, not just letting it loose on everyone.
It shouldn't be like, that person farted, or when did it become that it's funny? Do you know what I mean? Someone like bends over and they fart and it's like,
that's brilliant. Yeah.
Like, why do we find these things funny? Like,
I mean, definitely,
weird.
Definitely, but it's definitely as far as I know, it's definitely that which is embarrassing is then found funny. Like, that's the way around, if you know what I mean. So the real question is like, why do we find it embarrassing? Because anything embarrassing becomes funny in the right context. Yeah. So, so it's like, why do we find it embarrassing? Like, definitely from the point of view of feeling, like embarrassment around sex and around body functions and poo, and like disgust makes sense. Embarrassment is odd. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, but then like even with sex, right? So I was talking to my friend the other day, and she was saying that she was watching a film on her phone. I think it's a new film that's come out on Netflix called 365. Okay. And in that movie, like, there's a point where a woman is masturbating and a woman is giving a guy a blowjob, right? So it's like both these things are in sync, like they're happening at the same time. So it keeps rocking back and forth, right?
Split screen, good stuff.
Right, but so literally it's going back and forth. Now she was watching this, and she was out in public. So
yes.
Of course, gone for an appointment, right? Yes. So this is happening. Obviously, like she doesn't know this is going to happen in the film.
Love it.
She's just watching the film. This comes up on the screen. All of a sudden, now she's like hiding her phone, like, oh fuck. But she doesn't stop watching it. She's just hiding her phone, and it's like,
so
I've had that before. I've been watching a show or a film or something on my phone, and all of a sudden, like, they start going at it, and you're like, and you're like, but it's natural. Like, come on, guys. Like, why do you feel like? Why do you feel embarrassed, and why do you feel like you have to hide it? Like, it's not like you're watching porn, because I get that, but you shouldn't be doing that in public anyway, because what's your end game? So like, like, you don't want to be doing your end game in public, because that's wrong.
Yeah. Is that a Mile High Club? I think that's only like a half mile high or something. I feel like that needs a different name if you're self-servicing in the air, so to speak. I think that's...
There you go, self-service.
Self mile high self-service.
It's wrong on so many levels. But yeah, we get embarrassed. And then it's like, if you're watching a film and with your parents or something, or someone that's older than you.
I know this.
And then the sex scenes comes on, and all of a sudden you're like,
when we were kids, it was James Bond, because like at Christmas or holidays, there'd always be James Bond films on the TV, right? And normally, like most of the time when you're watching films, like if your parents know they're adults or whatever, even if you know they're a bit adulty, you won't watch them with your parents. But James Bond was this weird crossover thing. It's a very unusual, it's an interesting convention for a whole bunch of different reasons. But like, where it is family friendly, it is stupid, it is a bit violent or whatever, but it also has like sex, straight up sex more or less in it. And it's just the feeling, man, the feeling of sitting in your living room watching films. I can remember it now, like, because you're like, don't look at anyone else, but don't not look at them. Do look at the screen. Don't not look at it. Just, you can feel, like, speaking of like weed, like feeling like the whole world is like, the fuck, man. I'd fucking take 8 weed brownies right now over doing that, having to go through that again as a child. Just, you could feel the chair. I can remember in my head now. I can remember what the arm of the fucking wooden chair that I haven't thought about in years felt like in my hand, just because my whole body was just like, ah! Love it. It's just...
But why are we made to feel like
right?
it's like...
Right?
Is it because you did... It's weird, and it's like, you don't want to picture your parents doing the do. You don't want to... It's like, but really. You don't want to picture it, but then why do we act like they don't do it? Like, why do we disassociate it and be like, no, they don't do that? But how did you get here? Like, and then it's like, okay, well then they just done it to make us. They didn't do it for fun. What the fuck? Like, it's just like, it's weird that we have to like try and disassociate ourselves from that act.
For sure.
Why? Like, it's a natural thing. Like,
the only thing again,
do it, like,
the only thing I can think about, like evolutionary biology stuff, is I could think of is like, if you have sex with one of your parents, you're likely to have a deformed child. No, I'm saying, I'm not, this is back in the day when we're monkeys or whatever the fuck, right? So if you develop disgust at the idea of your parents in any kind of sexual situation, as an evolutionary response, that prevents incest. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that is the evolutionary...
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I get that, but you should have put a disclaimer, because I was like, what the fuck? Where the hell is he going with this right now? Because
I know, you were thinking I literally was talking about, you know, when you're watching James Bond with your family and you think, God, I would have sex with my dad, but I feel a bit uncomfortable now watching this James Bond film, so I won't. I was kind of talking on a longer evolutionary trajectory.
He scared me then. I was just thinking, wow, this is a weird way for the friendship to end. Wow.
I can't wait for whatever the conversation is where you finally work out, oh my God, Alan is actually an incestuous serial killer, and all the jokes weren't jokes. He was never funny. He was literally just saying the things that he really felt and thought. I can't wait. It's going to be great. It's just going to be great, because you're going to have...
It's been a year now. We've known each other.
The cupboard opens up, and the heads and arms and legs of all my dismembered former siblings and cousins I've had sex with and murdered just come spilling out. See? This is great. See, but this is public, and I can say that in a public-ish forum, the 4 people ever watching it, and yet I'm still embarrassed if a Vic's thing up my nose. Oh, the contradictions of that.
It's just weird, and I'm like, okay, so we've known each other for a year, and it's like I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I'm in too deep now. It's like, I feel like I'll have Stockholm syndrome if I try to leave. Like, it's weird.
You can't leave, Chanel. You're one of us now. You're one of us. One of us.
Oh.
Yeah, but anyway, I think that is in terms of not having sex with your parents. And again, hopefully it goes without saying, don't do that. Yeah, I think
brings
that's
us on to another subject. Saying that.
Dun, dun, dun. What the fuck is coming next? We started out with poop.
Where is she going
incest.
with this?
Also,
you know, like when people are given up for adoption, right?
Oh, here we go.
So, say a woman gives up her son for adoption.
Here we go. I like where this is going.
And then they meet and they don't realize that they are related. And then they have sort of sexual attraction.
It happens,
but
right?
Then they find out that they are related, but they choose to continue a relationship. Do you think that is sick, or do you understand it?
I mean, that's a great question. I'm very tempted to be like, you threw me the football. I'm like, fuck you. What do you think? I'm very tempted to throw that one straight back. But I won't do that. I'll resist the urge to do that. Yeah, there's a film about it called, what is it called? Really great film. Anyway, I'll think of it next time. It's a Korean film. A guy eats a live octopus in it as well. Quality. But that's a separate thing. Him eating a live octopus is the least disturbing element of the film. But anyway, also I guess it's kind of a spoiler. Not about the octopus. Doesn't matter. Right. So okay. Let's think about it this way. Right. The thing about not being attracted to your parents or whatever it is, I think that generally speaking is a very good natural human tendency impulse, because it prevents, at least in some cases, sadly not in all cases, child molestation, which is a real awful, horrible thing that happens between parents and children a lot, sadly, a lot more than is spoken about. The revulsion of parent to child is important for preventing that, which is good. But then, let's say in the adoption-y case, you're an adult, you kind of haven't gone through that process. Are you hurting anybody? As long as you don't have kids, because again, they could be, disabled in some fashion, and I don't think you should be actively trying to do that. Then, I mean, I guess there's nothing wrong with it, is there? What's the problem, really? If you're not hurting anyone, in that case, but I do want to say in that specific case, I'm not recommending this. Ugh, oh, so nauseated. This is great now. This is the exact kind of this is exactly what I think our podcast should be going for. We should start off with something that makes people go, oh God, I hope they get off this subject soon. For example, like shit. And then by the end of the podcast, you want them saying, God, I wish they'd just go back to the first thing when they were just talking about shit. Like that's the reaction I want from every podcast, regardless of subject. Please stop talking about this. And then by the end, oh my God, please go back to this. But what does Chanel think? No one cares what Alan thinks. What does Chanel think about our hypothetical incest, separated at birth, adoption, whatever?
So
and then I have a follow-up question. Sorry.
Okay, so from the parents' point of view, I think it's sick.
Okay.
Whether you have
partial
brought that child up or not,
okay,
it's sick. Because especially from a woman's standpoint, you've given birth to this human.
Oh, so many jokes.
And now you are going to want to be sexually involved with this human. It's sick. And that's why also, obviously, if you want to add the element of like, okay, but you didn't know them, right? But as a woman, you gave birth. So I don't give a shit. You knew them for 9 months while they were inside you. So you knew them. I don't care. You've got that. They say that's why that people, if this does happen, that's why they have like a connection, like they're drawn to each other. It's because of
that. Yes, because of whatever.
That bond you can't see. Yeah. So from a woman's standpoint, that's just sick. It's sick. It can't even be more sick, right?
Right.
From a man's point of view,
the man being the son, or the man being a parent? Who the son? Is
a man being a parent. So
okay,
female. Okay. So the woman being a parent, sick. The man being a parent, then I just feel to myself like, all right, you haven't had to carry that child. But as soon as you know that that's your blood running through that person's veins, once you know, you're fucking sick.
Right.
You're sick. It's sick and it's twisted. It's just sick. And then I think because no matter what, whether the children are adults now, like, I feel like it shouldn't be the blame shouldn't be placed on them, because they had I don't know, how can I say it? Like, they haven't, they're not the reason why they're there, right? So the parents are. So it's the parents telling them, say, look, I'm your parent. That shit can't fly.
All right, Chanel, but I'm gonna fuck with it now, right? What if this? I'm just trying to like see all the angles on this. horrific.
Go ahead.
Before we go any further, the really great thing about this, we talk about lots of complicated moral issues that really are, God, you can see it from this. The great thing about this one is it doesn't happen a lot. So rest assured that this isn't a massive, which is great to hear. Great for us to deal with some issues that are, you know, but I'm sure there's someone out there listening who's like, thanks for clearing that up for me. Gotta go talk to my mommy. But if you are the daughter, right, let's say, and you find out that the person you have been seeing romantically is your dad, and then you don't tell him, then it's your fault, isn't it?
Oh hell yeah! Like that's you're a sicko.
Yeah. But I know what you mean. I don't know. I think the way you were expressing it makes some sense, but I don't know if I fully agree with it in the sense that I definitely feel that it seems like for whatever reason the parent is more culpable. I don't know exactly why that is, but I definitely agree with your. Just intuitively, it seems like they're more responsible somehow, and I don't know why that is, but it definitely is the case. That's what it feels like.
Because they're the reason why the child is here. Like this person is here, they are the reason for it. So for me, they have to be like, I may not have raised you. Yeah,
like a responsibility.
I'm still your parent. I may not have parented you. I'm still your parent.
Yeah.
So
I see what you're saying.
Like the onus is on them. Like if their child is still pursuing them, it's for them to be like, get the fuck out of here.
So fucked up, man.
And plus, no matter what, they're the older one. No matter what, they're going to be the older person in the situation.
Unless you're time traveling.
It lies on them anyway.
Unless you're time traveling,
exactly.
But time traveling, incest, and other fun stories. What was I going to say? Yeah, I definitely think that's really. I think what it also comes down to is in terms of me saying, well, they're not hurting anyone, so it doesn't matter. I think what it depends. I think the literal difference in judgment depends on kind of how you think about how we're connected to each other, and like, because if you think about familial bonds as really being, and again, I'm not saying this is clear, black and white in either direction, but if you think of them as being like your blood, your DNA, your whatever you want to call it, your physical biological connection as really being not the defining factor, but a big defining factor of your connection to the other person, then under that kind of evaluation, it seems regardless of context, that relationship stands. Whereas if you think of parent-child relationships as being more socially constructed or something like that, do you know what I mean? Like more, not about biology, but more about the relationships that build over time. Then the argument that actually, if you're not hurting anyone in the first scenario, then then it's less of a problem, you know? So I think that's a sort of a distinction between the two. I don't know how I feel about any of it. I'll tell you how I don't. I don't feel great about any of it. I'll tell you that.
Like it's weird because it's like I remember one time, the good old days before Jeremy Kyle was cancelled, I remember watching an episode where it was two gay guys, and they were in a relationship. And they had come on the show because they had heard stories and stuff like that they were brothers.
Oh my god! Yeah.
And then they had the DNA test and whatever, and it turned out that they were brothers.
Right.
Now,
that's rough.
I guess in the parents' defense, the dad obviously thought that like he was okay because he didn't expect both of his sons to end up being gay.
Listen,
but even if it was just one, then he kind of gets the get out of jail free card, right? But in his mind, he's probably thinking, both my sons ain't going to be gay. So that's not an issue. Like, if you have a mixture of girl and boy children, then you have run that risk of being at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it's even then the chances of that are so small to also then take the gender thing into account. I mean, exactly. I think you'd have to be particularly judgmental to be like, you fucking knew this was going to happen, Dad. I think you have to be pretty harsh on the guy to draw that conclusion.
So I'm just literally just like, I'm just thinking, obviously, like of men that just like have kids with completely different women, and no one knows, like, don't get that sibling bond because you didn't even know that they existed or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just feel like he obviously was like poking and stroking wherever he felt and thought that he was going to be fine.
Hey, man.
And then didn't think that he was going to get a double whammy. Like, what the fuck?
Fuck me, man. Boy, is Christmas going to be awkward. Do you know what I mean? Like, fucking these poor
people. And it was like, it was so heart-wrenching actually watching them.
Oh, these poor
come to
people,
that realization, man. The fact of that, like, they have been in a relationship and now that's your brother.
Dude, it's intense, man. They literally just the other day, some case in America, I just saw some news thing where they're a brother and sister, same scenario, and they're the whatever state they're in has said, yeah, we can't find a reason why they're not allowed to get married. So now they're getting married. They're like, fuck it, we're all in. Literally, huh? Oh my God, man. Hey, listen, Chanel, I feel very sorry for some of these people to find themselves in that situation. But you know what? And whatever, judge them or don't judge them, it's a very complicated issue. I'm not going to judge anyone for how they think about this stuff. But I'll tell you one thing for sure. You know, sometimes you feel, I was feeling a bit down this week about this, that, or the other, and you think, oh, you know, my life is hard. Nah, have you fucked your brother recently? Have you accidentally had sex with your sister? No, then your life is fucking roses. You are living on easy street by comparison, baby. You have the best life ever by comparison. So, if nothing else, we can take that from these stories. Hey.
It's like, actually, I read a book. This guy was basically like, he was a douchebag, and he like basically did the same thing, like poking and stroking all over the place, had kids here and everywhere.
Can I ask you for a second? What's the stroke part of the poke and stroke? Because I feel like that doesn't add anything additional. But
I don't know.
The rhyme.
It rhymed. Yeah.
It's catchy.
But like, and then he was basically ended up sleeping with this girl, and like he found out that it was his daughter. So that was the karma that came to bite him in his ass.
I just thought of something. Remember back in one of our other classics, which actually might anyway, whatever, it doesn't matter where it comes out. We were talking about being attracted to super old people way older than you, and how some people find that disgusting, but for some people it's a fetish. Maybe lots of people find that disgusting to stop you having sex with your own parents. Maybe that's why some people find that disgusting. Do you know what I mean? Because if you were like, old people, then you'd have way less chance of having sex with your own dad.
I think.
Huh? I don't mean to kink shame anyone. I'm just saying.
No, I think it's like, it depends on the old person, right? Because you can look at some people that are actually old by age-wise, they are old, right? And they could be in their 70s, but they don't look like they're in their 70s.
Yeah, but they don't look old. So that's the thing. It's your body. From an evolutionary point of view, it's all visual. It's what you perceive, right? Because if you're a monkey, you can't be like, how old are you? You know, back in the day, we were just like, oh, that monkey looks fucking wrecked, man.
But this is what I'm thinking. The old people thing, it's more of a visual on how they look compared to the age, right? Because if you were to date,
that's why I moisturize, baby. That's why I moisturize.
Right? Now, if you were to date a woman who's in her 60s, but she looked like she was in her 40s, no one would be none the wiser. And no one wouldn't say anything to you until they find out her age and be like, whoa, okay.
For sure.
So I think with the age thing, it's more about, it's a visual thing than it is about how many years that person's got on you.
I see what you're saying, but I still think that the visual thing is there in our brains because it stops us having sex with our parents. But I know what you're saying. I mean, I say that like that's the only thing. Stop.
I know, like, okay.
But I mean, but hey, listen, this is going to become. We said this very rarely happens. The parent accidentally having sex with a child through adoption and all the things, but it's going to happen more and more because people are looking younger for longer amounts of time. You know what I mean? people are looking younger for old people these days. They look fucking. You seen Jamie Foxx? This guy's 50 something, man. Fuck me. I look older than.
I think she's called I think she's called Sean Robinson, and she's American. I think she does like TV hosting and stuff. And she's meant to be in her 70s, and she doesn't look it.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's great.
It's like, what the hell? And even I know black don't crack, right? But even I'm just like,
everything got to crack sometime. Yeah. There's got to be an upper limit, right? Yeah. But like, you know what? It's fun when I see celebrities who look good into their fucking whatever 60s, whatever it is, 70s. I'm always torn in two directions, like, because part of me sees it and I'm like, there's two versions of it, and one version is like, oh my god, yeah, actually it's great because they've taken care of their health. They're like, they seem to exercise, to eat well. It kind of looks like, of course, they make themselves up and so forth as well, but it kind of looks like it's sort of natural, you know what I mean? Like, and actually it's inspiring because you're like, yeah, if you take care of your body, you can have, maybe you don't live longer, but you certainly can have a more active and more attractive life for longer, whatever you want to say. But then there's versions of it where you just like look like, oh my god, man, this is all pyrotechnics, man. I'm gonna pull one thread out of this and the whole pile's gonna collapse. You know what I mean? Like, you fucking, like, God bless Madonna, man, but you just look like it's a fucking, it's like an optical illusion puzzle. You know, if you move the camera slightly to the left, the whole thing goes, you know? No offense, Tom. But yeah, there's two versions. You know them when you see them. You know what I mean? Oh God.
Mm-hmm. Oh hell yeah, 100%. But yeah, that's a weird one.
Well, listen.
I'm glad I will never be in any of those situations. So
fucking knock wood, Chanel. Knock wood. Don't be fucking tempting fate now, man. How do you know?
That I'm not gonna screw my dad. What do you mean? How do I?
No, not.
What do you mean?
Oh yeah.
I was like, what?
Well, I was. What if you? Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, but I meant, what if you? But what if you? Yeah,
what
I guess it's
what?
unlikely.
No, there's no. There's just no.
Just.
I know who my dad is. Like, what the hell?
I was. What I did was the classic thing of thinking, yeah, but you could have a kid and not even know it, and then I was like, oh no, that's only men. I was thinking like, because I was like, I could have a kid out there and it's my daughter, and the same thing could happen to Chanel. This is how fucking tired I am, man. This idea that you could have a baby and, oh my god. Yeah, okay, no, you're right. It couldn't happen to you, but it could happen to me, so shut the fuck up. There, how about that? Don't tempt fate for me. It could happen to me, okay?
If you stick with grannies, you'll be fine.
That's right. Aim up. I know who my mother is as well, so as long as I stick with I can stick with any other grannies I want to.
Then you'll be fine. Absolutely. It's wrong on so many levels. It makes me feel like, should we even put this on here? Because I feel like, whoa, I don't know how anyone else is going to feel, but do you know what? We had to endure it.
Hey, we gotta take it. You gotta take it. If you don't like it, skip back to the start where we're talking about shit. Enjoy that.